Hey, it's Don, the Auction Professor here. I'm going to give you out another item to look for, a real good bolo that we look for all the time. It's Hawaiian items and Tiki items in general. There's a broad range of stuff that sells very well. I find Tiki mugs all the time, and I always can at least flip a Tiki mug fairly well. There's some that are worth hundreds of dollars, but we're going to go to the screen, and we're literally going to talk about this. I'm going to give you some good ideas and some good thoughts on things to look for in this category, but we're going to pop over there right now. Today we're just going to talk about Tiki items. I'm just going to throw some out here. We're going to go from the gamut of high dollar ones to just the average ones you should be able to find. I find something with the Tiki on it pretty much every single week of my life, sometimes a couple times a day. Most flea markets will have a couple. Most antique malls will have some. Again, you got to check the price. You got to know what you're getting yourself into. Look them up. Most of them have markings on the bottom. The vintage ones, you may run into some that just say like of Hawaii or made in Hawaii or something along that line. New ones sell, old ones sell. Vintage original items that were hand carved from the region sell. Disney has many items from the Enchanted Tiki Room that will sell too, so you will run into these in California and Florida fairly often. This is the Enchanted Tiki Room. It's a drummer god figure. It may seem odd to see this or to think about it, but these are big. They do actually show up occasionally. Right now, there's 4 or 5 of these on eBay right this second from 4 or 5 different people. Somebody finds them. They are out there. You see the $5,000 price tag. These can go down to like $1,900. They're fairly scarce, but there are enough out there that any given day of the week I can see one up or many up on eBay. Some show up in bars, some show up, here and there. Auctions as well, too. Everybody's not going to find these, but as long as you know what to look for, you got a better chance on scoring over somebody else. Here's another one. Now, again, this is something that doesn't show up that often, but the company you should always know. Witco Items. This is a specific company name. It's been around since the 50s or 60s. This one's known, though. I mean, for me anyway. It's like wood carved on there that makes the actual globe. It's a really interesting piece, honestly. $2,450. Not a crazy price, but most people won't think it's worth that much. Most people won't hold a high value to it. It's considered just junk to some people. And these kind of things would show up at an auction, flea market, estate sale, garage sale, church sale, wherever you could go, wherever you might find vintage items. Now we're going to go off into some new items. It doesn't have to be vintage. People make tiki bars, especially in southern states, or Florida, California, Gulf Coast. This is new. Almost $2,000. 2 sold at that price. And it's something you could possibly still get, or it's from the company that actually makes them. They're listing them. That's a good price. $400. Cast or not cast. It's just something unique. I like it. If I had the perfect spot, it might be something that I would be interested in. So again, one single one of these, the stools would even sell for, say, $400 or $500. And it might be something you see at an auction or at a garage sale sit in the corner for $50 or something. That's about what I would expect to pay for something like that. Let's move on here. Again, it's not a huge category, but tens of thousands of these type of items sell, any given time you're looking on eBay's comps. This is another Enchanted Tiki Room. This is a Disney piece now, and I think it has, yeah, there you can see it. Enchanted Tiki Room, the 50th anniversary. They made many of these, and I remember this when I was younger. It was a talking bird, it would sing and play a number and stuff. It's got his little cane with him, along with, some of the musical things. And it used to be in the Magic Kingdom. It may still be there. I don't really remember. I didn't dig up the information to say, because the issue is what sold. So anyway, $1,500 for this one. This is another Witco. As I said, Witco items always sell. Anything from Witco. Many of them aren't going to be marked. You just have to get the gist of it. And if it's not Witco, you can put Witco-like or something along that line. They still will sell. Let's see here. You can kind of get the gist of it. It's a unique piece. People make new ones of these, believe it or not. This is a vintage. You can see the cracking and the stylization. That one is a decent one. $875. The wall art goes great. People put it up in their bar. That's what goes the best. Or these carved pieces like this. This could be just some modern touristy piece. It does look old. It does have some cracking through the wood. That's typical. I would still have bought it with the damage like that, because that's what you're going to expect. It's wood, it dries out, it's been carved, it's thinned, it's got holes in it. So that's what I expect on something like this. I don't think it's odd. I don't, worry about it. It's not a degrading factor for me. The person still sold it for $627 with 21 bids. Now, it goes across the gamut. You can find it for anything you could imagine has a tiki. And there's even postcards with tiki images on it that still sell, modern ones. Trader Vic's, Trader Joe's, any of that kind of stuff. Or Tiki of Hawaii, the Tiki Room, Tiki Gods. There's tons of different names. New stuff as well. Just like Death Wish Coffee, there's coffee mugs that are tiki mugs made from, tons of different places. Local city restaurants have them for their own restaurant made specifically, and they've been doing this since the 50s. So we find them all over the place, as I said. You will find mugs at Savers, Goodwill, Salvation Army, any of those thrift stores for sure. You would run into a tiki mug at some point. I can almost guarantee you without a doubt. I found my very good fair share of them. They have all sold for us, every single one of those mugs. Now, you may not get a ton. Get them as cheap as possible, of course, $1 or less. If you buy one for $2 or $3, you may not make a ton, because some only go for $10. But look them up. Orchids, I think it's Orchid of Hawaii is another brand. A lot of them will just say Japan. Those are all fine. Good as gold. But you gotta have some basic idea on the better ones. Which ones will sell for higher. The bigger the better, of course, too. Now, these are golf club covers. All stitched, very fancy. It's a well-known name, Scotty Cameron. I really love these. I'm not a golfer or anything like that, but these are pretty unique. I love the hair on there. There's a whole set of these, if I'm not mistaken. These two went for $680, if that gives you any idea. So again, it's not just one category. There is no one single category that I would say don't buy with tiki. Just go by what it is and look it up. Lights, Witco style. Now, this isn't a Witco. The style is those carved, the heads, the tiki gods on the side. That's the style they're talking about. And the glass, and that might not necessarily be glass. It might just be plastic as well. So keep that in mind. Some of the plastic had patterns. This one went for $600. You'll see Josh Agley, well-known one, Bob Mug. You'll see this Kankuki. I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but there's tons of these different things on here that you will find from many different oddball makers by the Shag Store. That's this one. Again, there's numbered ones as well. This one's a pretty interesting one. $5.95. It's right up there with the as I said, the Death Wish coffee. Jack Skellington from Disney. Here's another one, Trader Sam's. Anything that says Trader that has these in it usually goes. Disney is a big plus to it. We've been lucky enough to find some of these Disney items just because people don't think they're worth that much. Again, it's not something you're going to find every day, one of these, but I find tiki stuff every week of my life. $480 here. Kevin and Jody, Walt Disney's Enchanted Tiki Room babies. There's 4 of these. These I find loose occasionally, so that's another thing. That, and loose-wise, they still go for $40 or $50. Just an individual one of these loose. They're marked at Disney on them too, so you really can't miss them. $450 for these. They sell all day long. These, you'll find hundreds of these up on eBay right now. Here's a cool one. This is Tiki Mug by Gecko. Let's see here if you can see. There you can see the pour-wise. It's really neat. I'd probably hang it on the wall. There's the markings on the bottom. Let's see if you can see. Made in Hawaii. Any of the ones that say made in Hawaii or of something of Hawaii, they all seem to sell for us all the time. $438 on that one. Frank Coma Pottery has a whole series of them too. They all sell. $489 for this one. You can see the size, the shape right there based on a modern Coke can. Nothing huge, fancy. Something you could run into easily at an antique store, auction, thrift store, a garage sale. Most people won't think these carry that much of value. That's why we do so well. Let's move on here. Again, it's not a huge area, but here's another one of the limited edition mugs. This is by Undertow. I believe it's a specific restaurant or something on this one here. Tiki Diablo, let's see here, exclusively for Undertow in Phoenix, smoking can and drink. It's for a drink. It's made for one specific restaurant. So, there's not a lot of them available. It's for the restaurant. They serve the drinks in them. It was probably some specialty thing. They used them, they discontinued, or more, whatever the case may be. I find many. There's probably a couple hundred restaurants in this country alone that made their own tiki mugs at some point, or stores that had their own tiki mugs. Any of that stuff I look for. Any of that stuff is good. There's 4 bids. There's 2 or 3 of these up right now, right this second. So $4.25 on that one. Tonga Hut. This is a Hollywood one. Let's see here. Yeah, it's a Tiki Lounge at Hollywood Tonga Hut. I haven't seen this one before, but I have seen the stir sticks you see there. So I knew the name, but I hadn't seen the mug. When I looked this one up, there was multiple ones of these up online. So it's not a scarce thing at all. $2.85 with the box and with the extras. Just what you're going to find. It has the little stir sticks, actually have a little spot they slide into. It's the specific style of the moa, the tiki god that you look for is this one here. This is usually what I look for or find the most. Even loose, this would have sold without anything with it, and you could find it sitting on the shelf at a Savers or in the cabinet, the display case, whatever the case may be. Now here's Frankies. I believe Frankies was a restaurant or establishment, if I'm not. Frankies Tiki Room, Las Vegas. Yes, see. This was sold in the gift shop there, probably, something along that line. Now, there's versions of this that aren't signed and aren't limited editions that sell just as well, $50-$60. That design, that stylization, not specifically that identical one, but that same stylistic imagery is what sells them. $277.77. Good price. 31 bids. Here's more along the lines of what I find at Savers. And I find them there, well, we used to. Savers is closed in our area, but Goodwill, Salvation Army. As I said, I can find one of these a week. I could probably find more if I dug more and went to more places, but I don't go out as much as most people do because I don't need to. My pickers pull these out for me quite often. I've got a few in-house right this second. Just sold one the other day. Mount Fuji Inn. Now, this is a specific place, a restaurant. As I said, there's a couple hundred restaurants that issued these. So there's chances are that in your small area, wherever you're at, there's some place nearby that will give you the opportunity for some of these to show up. And then there's home ones. There's ones that were marked Japan. There's 60s barware that had these too. So I find them quite often. This is a vintage one. Let's see if we can see some markings on the bottom. Japan. That's exactly what I said. If they're just marked Japan like this, they're almost always good as gold. Something I'd pay a couple bucks for, $50 it sold for. And that had some issues to it too. Now here's 1960 jarred prod, but that is something I do see on them as well. This one actually still has some of the original labels, and I do see them that way sometimes too, or just that paper label too. You'll get the gist of these once you've had a couple of them. And I've had dozens upon dozens, maybe a couple of hundred of these in my time frame. So I do look for these all the time. This is just 3 vintage, $46. Again, if you pay $1 for them, you might have $3 in them, $46. You charge shipping. He's got $9.99 in shipping. They're not huge. It's probably about 4 pounds for these would be my guess. Condition is new. They're not new. I would never use new, even if they still had the tags and look like this, because they've been sitting around for a while. Could have been on display somewhere even. Here's an Aloha Mug, Tiki Farm. That's another one of those names that you will see. Any of this kind of stuff, new, old, made in China, I don't care. I still buy them. $46. He charged $18 in shipping, so he at least covered his costs. It probably cost about $8-10 to ship that. And just one more here. Again, typical what I find, just like this all the time. Here's another good one. Otagia, I think it's pronounced, something along that line. But this is typical. Even you can see the foil sticker on it. That's a Japanese maker, of course, very obvious. Some of these are plasterware, some are not. These are typical pottery ones. I like these. I've always liked them. So in the past, I bought a couple just for curiosity's sake. I might have kept them. But we realized they're worth money, and then boom, we've been off ever since buying and selling these routinely, very routinely. So this item you should most definitely find on your own as well. Pretty quickly, I would imagine. So, well, there you go. Those are some other items that we look for. Tiki items in general are always very good to sell, as are Hawaiian items. As you can see, the prices are horrendous for some. But that's what I have for you today. Hopefully that gave you some ideas and some thoughts. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button down below. You can also hit the bell icon to be notified when we post new content or go live. Subscribe and tell a friend.